As we paused, we cleared out our cupboards and our drawers, and we wondered, what's our cause? Welcome. Thanks for joining us as we delve into some of your stories of the past year to explore how our work and home lives have changed. We'll take an intimate, light-hearted look at the survival, solidarity, and sacrifices we've made, and we'll celebrate some of the silver linings that have emerged from our series of fortunate events. We know that not everyone has a success story. As Mark Stringer says, no matter how much we all want the Hollywood ending, for every beautiful LinkedIn story we read today, there are literally thousands of people still searching. Not everyone has had the same experience or been able to find other work or projects and hobbies. It's not easy for lots of people out there. And as Lois can confirm after checking the almighty Google, can you dehydrate from crying? The answer is no. Hang on in there, chums. Chins up, and remember, this too shall pass. The dictionary tells us that the definition of survival is the state or fact of continuing to live or exist, typically in spite of an accident or difficult circumstances. We're not talking about the Bear Grylls or SAS or even the Gloria Gaynor style of survival here. We're talking about how things have changed for us as our usual work and duties suddenly disappeared. Our purpose, what gets us out of bed in the morning, even if we are in our PJs for the entire day. Now, I know you've missed your fireside chats in the events world, so I've taken my brief quite literally and I've laid a lovely cosy fire. In fact, it is actually getting quite warm now, so methinks I must disrobe. I've actually made an effort today. I've had a shave, I wish that was a joke, and I've actually got an outfit on that goes all the way to the floor. Who knows? Maybe you watching at home are even wearing a pair of shoes right now. So, how have we adapted? What have been our coping strategies? Without being able to meet up, how do we get together and have a laugh? How have we looked after our mental health and well-being and other communities? And how have we not been convicted for murder when homeschooling our little darlings? Many have realised that there is a reason that teachers train for 4 years, and 3 of those are spent learning to be in a room with 30 other little angels without actually throttling them. How many have gone from thinking teaching is just messing about with crayons and keeping inside the lines to being an actual demigod? A huge thank you to all our contributors. We've loved seeing what you're up to and hearing your stories from all over the world, from Australia to Barcelona. We've revelled in your stories of resilience. Some, like Claire, have kept us chuckling while blogging about being locked indoors for 100 days with a 4-year-old.
What comes
6.
before number 6?
7.
Many have changed jobs completely, like Gemma, who's gone from producing to studying conflict resolution. Some of us have swapped West End stage management for delivery driving, dance captain at the Book of Mormon to supervisor at Wilco's. Some have become a marketer, a baker, or a candle maker. Some have gone from airline pilot to plasterer. And some of us have just been getting plastered. Do we need a segue for this bit? I caught up with Sam Beach. His This Too Shall Pass project has been documenting this unique time in our industry. Hi Sam, thanks for joining us.
Hello,
Can
Julie.
you explain to us, who are you?
So my name's Sam Beach. I'm a technical director by trade. I've worked in the events industry for about 20 years. I run the UK side of a technical agency called Imagine Believe.
Thank you. Can you tell us about This Too Shall Pass?
Yeah, certainly. So it's a photographic project documenting, I suppose, the state of our industry as it stands during this period. I got the title from a tattoo on Aaron Ross's arm, who was one of the people I photographed. He was used to be the director of audio at Blitz. And as we know, I suppose the industry that we know and love has pretty much disintegrated since March, and the project started as a series of portraits. And ultimately, I wanted it to be more than just pictures of sad-looking roadies. I went to a few warehouses and talked to people there, and as well as trying to capture some of the details of people's spaces that they exist in. Ultimately, it's to try and explore the sense of redundancy, isolation, and stasis that we're experiencing as an industry at the moment.
How did people react?
I mean, I think a few things struck me as I took the photos, and one was how welcoming everybody was, almost as if they hadn't seen anybody for ages. The general sense of positivity and can-do attitude from people and humour was still very much there, and people are ready to get started again. There's a few people that maybe of note to mention. I mean, I've got a photo of Naz in there, who I believe is possibly vaguely known to this group, but an excellent example of someone who's just stayed positive and throughout this period has kept going and kept inspiring and coming up with ideas. There's a photograph of Paul Tandy, who is the CEO of the NEC group. Very nice guy, very intense man. He had volunteered at the beginning of the crisis, the NEC in Birmingham, to be a Nightingale hospital site, and he'd given it to them for free, and his words were that he hadn't done that because he'd been asked to, but because it was the right thing to do.
Well, thank you for sharing it with us and documenting it so well. And we wish you all the best. Good luck. And I'm sure that we will meet at a live event very soon. Thanks so much for joining us, Sam. If you want to follow This Too Shall Pass, please find Sam on Instagram. Well, we have survived. One way in which we survived is through solidarity. The dictionary tells us that the definition of solidarity is unity or agreement of feeling or action, especially among individuals with a common interest, mutual support within a group. Many have embarked on volunteering, like Annabelle, who's joined a befriending service and every Friday spends time with her elderly friend who otherwise wouldn't see anyone from one week to the next. Some of us have been helping other communities with food banks. I caught up with Jen Porter, who's taken this opportunity to step up her existing role at the not-for-profit organisation Streets Kitchen. Hi Jen, thanks for joining us. Can you tell us, what does solidarity mean to you?
So the ethos of Streets Kitchen is solidarity, not charity. We don't like to include the word charity in what we do because it has some negative connotations for us. We're more about humans helping other humans because they've requested some support, and it's not about being handouts. It's about a mutual relationship between two individuals purely based on respect.
Mm-hmm. And is there a typical day at Streets Kitchen?
No, but I will try and give you an idea of what it looks like. So pre-pandemic, we would usually set up a table on the street. We would encourage anybody that needed food, and that is food without judgment. So if it's anyone rough sleeping, somebody that's struggling at home because they've got a lower income, or even the odd delivery driver, would come along, we'd offer them a hot drink, a hot meal, and more importantly, a warm chat. A lot of the time we see people who come to the table that they're not there for the food. They just want the love and warmth of another human being, and compassion. But since the pandemic, we've taken our outreach tables into a whole new world of looking after those that have been taken in off of the streets as part of the government's Everyone In programme. So in Lambeth, where I was living, I am now responsible for feeding over 100 people 3 square meals a day in 2 hotels, with an army of volunteers. And this is a completely voluntary role, and it seems to be something that should be done by a whole team of people, but there's a massive spreadsheet that sits on my computer. Wow. And many various WhatsApp groups. So not too dissimilar to everything that we're used to in the events world.
And this is something that you were doing alongside events and that you stepped up since the events world's gone away. Do you miss your usual job?
Of course. I mean, I think everybody misses what the old world used to be. But I think if anything, this has shown me that you can have a slightly different motivation with doing this sort of work. And I would love to be able to continue doing both in the future. Of course, I'd love events to come back, and I wish that more than anything. But I would also like to see individuals that are struggling get the support that they need. So for me, it's about finding a balance to be able to do both.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you're always looking for volunteers to help out. And
absolutely.
So we'll be pointing where people can get in touch to do some helping out. Thanks for joining us, Jem. It's been brilliant to hear your story of solidarity.
The Live Events Freelance Society, or LEFS as many of us know it, swung into mighty action immediately. Support groups were set up, many of which still meet regularly to check in with one another and see how each other is doing. We've enjoyed fascinating talks from lots of different guests. What does a day in the life of a show caller look like? What does a project coordinator actually do? In lockdown, they make face coverings. Some folks say if you haven't got a Dottie McBow handmade face covering, you don't actually work in events. We've even built our very own virtual pub, the Freelancers Arms, where we've been able to enjoy a good old pub quiz and the odd lockdown lock-in. Yes! Alongside landlady Caddy Thomas, I've had the pleasure and utter bewilderment of watching teams such as Crossing Continents pitch their wits against viral payloads and not much chance. Viewing the results of the challenges we set each team proved an enlightening and occasionally alarming insight into the murky workings of some creative minds. There are some wonderful silver linings to come out of all these changes, of course. Kirsty Rosen wrote a book. Well done, Kirsty. Some have ventured completely out of their comfort zones and embarked on entirely new endeavours and are responding to a niche market. Dawn Valentine has set up her own COVID testing company called Test to You. I caught up with Dawn to find out more.
Hi, Dawn. Thanks so much for joining us. Can you explain to us how you went from your background in logistics and registration to running your own company, Test to You?
Yeah, so I was working on a virtual event and then that came to an end. And I think like many of us, I was kind of left thinking, oh, wow, what am I going to do now? And got a call out of the blue to go and work with my colleague Louise Geeta at a private testing company offering tests to the film industry. So we worked together on that and sort of took a lot of lessons away from that and thought when our contracts came to an end, we thought, right, actually, this is something we can do and offer to, you know, the events industry and the individuals as well.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's been a real silver lining for you, hasn't it? And you've been able to employ other people and provide a valuable service.
Yeah, definitely. I think, the big silver lining for me is really how many things I've learned. I mean, it's been absolutely crazy starting a business completely from scratch. Obviously, in my normal stuff, I focus on the delivery of events, but this has kind of been, you're doing the social media, you're doing Facebook, you're doing finance, you're doing sales, all of which has been complete learning curve for me. So it's been great to do that. And obviously, the bit that we've been able to excel at is really the delivery and making sure that these tests are delivered on time every time, because that's ultimately what you need when you're doing a COVID test.
Absolutely. I was even involved last week, wasn't I? I picked up a test from a lady locally in Hove and dashed up the motorway to Northampton to deliver it for you, which was fantastic.
You were our saviour that day. That's kind of where we've come from as a business, because we are both in a logistics background. We're very much like we have a backup plan for the backup plan to make sure that we deliver all the time. So that was great, and we definitely thank you for your help there.
Oh, anytime. The Minnie's out there raring to go. Thanks for joining us. Good luck.
Skills are being used in all sorts of new and inventive ways through alternative ventures. We're taking up new hobbies, like baking. David Ball from Brand Fuel has been leading a merry band of brand new bakers in weekly bake-off sessions. Some of us have embraced this free time and actually have a bun in the oven. Freelancers work incredibly hard. Long hours, often working 17 hours a day for weeks on end. Well, sometimes it's good to take our foot off the accelerator, an enforced break from the whirlwind. Time to reassess. One of our colleagues was encouraged by a client to put off having IVF treatment until after the forthcoming project. With all work cancelled, the perfect opportunity arose to concentrate on the healthy diet and lifestyle to successfully conceive. Quite the silver lining indeed. Congratulations. Abby Liebert sums it up perfectly here, I think. I hope to keep working in events, but definitely with more balance. Well, naturally, because we were locked down, the weather was glorious. We enjoyed one of the best summers ever, and it was a very good year indeed for the birds and the bees. Nature boomed, and allotments enjoyed a bountiful harvest. As lockdown was eased, I was able to make the most of my gap year, and I took the opportunity to spend some time indulging in one of my favourite hobbies and get out on the water and go sailing. Thank you for joining us. Look after yourselves and each other.
So during lockdown, because I can't make sourdough, I built this ukulele and I've learnt 3 chords and I've penned a little song about one of my favourite subjects, the weather, and my favourite weatherman person, Thomas Schaffernacker. Schaffernacker, oh Schaffernacker, can you tell us what's coming our way?